Hello, on this video, we're going to talk about the new builds onboarding process on Booking.com. Or in other words, we're going to see how to build brand new listings on this channel. So to start with, we need to click on Booking.com. Then we need to specify if we already have a Booking.com account with properties. In this case, I'm going to select no because I want you to see that our system will redirect us to the step-by-step instructions on how to build a Booking.com account. If we select yes, the system will just skip that part of the process. Then we need to select a cancellation policy. As always, the channel have their own predefined cancellation policies. So here we have a drop down from where we can select part of the cancellation policy or the cancellation window, like we call it. And then here we have the other drop down. Once we specify the cancellation policy, we can click on Start Connection Process. Like I previously mentioned, the first step is all of these instructions on how to build a brand new account on Booking.com. Once the Booking.com account is already created, we can then go to the next step. The next step is authorize. However, for new builds, so for the process of new builds, we don't really have to do any of this. All of these instructions, all of this information is for switchovers, and we will talk about it more deeply on another video. In step number 2, if we are going to create new builds, the only thing that we need to worry about is this last part, the LEID. What is the LEID? This is a number that Booking.com provides to each one of their clients. We also have another video where I will tell you how to get your LEID if you don't know it already. So once you have your LEID, you need to add it in here and click on Save. Please know that the LEID is very, very important. If you don't have the LEID in here, you won't be able to build brand new listings. Once we have the LEID, we can go to the next step. Actually, the step 3, we are also going to skip it because this is a step especially for switchovers. So I'm going to skip it. Please note, if you haven't seen one of the previous videos, that when I say switchover, I am talking about the process of connecting a Booking.com listing ID to an existing channel property ID. So that's a switchover. That's why a lot of these steps won't apply, because right now we are talking specifically about new builds. Okay? Step 4 is very important for new builds, and I strongly suggest to use it. So basically, this step is to validate or to confirm that a property really meets all the channel minimum requirements. For example, Booking.com requests for a property to have a minimum of 10 images. So if a property has less than 10 images, it won't get validated. In order to validate a property, we just need to select the property that we want to validate and then click on the Validate button. This process literally takes, it's pretty immediate and it can take 1-2 minutes. We just have to give it time and we will get a check mark like this one. That means that the property is correctly validated and that it meets all the channel minimum requirements, or we will get an error like this one. For example, in this case, it's actually the example that I mentioned. So in this case, the property couldn't get validated because it has 8 images and the channel requires a minimum of 10. Once you add, for example, in this case, once you add more properties and you reach the minimum of 10, you can just come back in here and click on Revalidate, like this. Like I previously mentioned, the validation process it's pretty instant. Actually, right now we can see here as well the last validation date and time. So once properties are validated, we can go to the next step. I would also like to mention a little tip. The validation is not really a requirement for actually building the property. So this means that if you ever want to skip it and you just want to build the property, like go directly to the step of building the property, you can do it. It's possible. However, I really suggest to validate a property, especially when you want to build it as a brand new listing. That way you can avoid errors during the build process. So after we complete the validation, we can go to the next step. In this step, step number 5, is where we are going to actually build the property. In order to build the property, please make sure that you are on the Create tab. So on the Create tab, you only need to select the property and click on Create New Listing. When you click on Create New Listing, this in progress status will appear. The in progress status will stay here approximately between 5 to 10 minutes. This process doesn't take more than 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes, two things will happen. Either we will receive an error message in here saying why the property couldn't get built on the channel, or the property will disappear from this step and will appear in step 6. So actually, let's go to step 6. On the step 6, once the property is built, the property will appear here, like I mentioned, and it will disappear from the step 5. On the step 6, then we are going to open the property. This is the step where we open or close the property. In order to open a property, we just need to click on the toggle and request to open, like this. As you can see, the status changed from request to open to pending channel approval. The pending channel approval status can also take up to 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes, again, two things will happen. Either the property will get opened or we will receive an error message. If the property gets opened, we will see that the toggle will change to a bright blue color, and here it says close property. It says close property because this is the next possible action as the property is now open. If you ever want to close the property, you just simply need to click on the toggle again and you will see after a couple of minutes that the toggle will change back to a color gray. And here, instead of close property, you will see request to open. Then, sometime later, you can request to open it whenever you feel ready for it. On the other hand, if we get an error back from the channel, the property will look something like this. So the toggle will go back to color gray, and you will see here request to open. So it will change from pending channel approval to request to open. And you will see this red icon next to the property. This means that it couldn't get open because of an error. You can click on the icon and you will see the error that the channel is giving us. In this case, the property couldn't get open because it doesn't have availability. You can always, so in this case, if the PM adds more availability, then we can simply go back and click on the toggle again to try to open the property once more. And basically, this is the Booking.com onboarding process for new builds. Thank you very much for watching this video.